Hey everyone, welcome back to the Mean Green Gridiron podcast. And I'm joined by an elated Carter following a nice 59-10 victory over Washington State. Carter, how's it going?
Casual, just a little calm 59-10 win.
Yeah.
I've got my McAllister sweet tea next to me here. As our friend Adam from the Mean Green Nation podcast, great podcast, by the way, go check them out. As he likes to point out, the days are just a little bit sweeter. Everything tastes a little better.
Yeah.
After a Mean Green win, the sun shines a little brighter. So I'm here with my sweet tea, and my sweet tea is just a little bit sweeter because we destroyed Washington State. I think you and I both had pretty close scores. Which
I had to be winning by a field goal at the end. That was my.
I think who is it? Miles who posts like the score. I forget what it's called. He has like the model or whatever it's called.
Right.
And he had it close. We had it close. We all kind of thought this was going to be like, okay, a little bit of a talent upgrade coming to DAQ, but we look good so far. Let's get a hard fought win, and there was not that much fighting to be done.
Yeah.
We can jump into it. I'll let you go first, but yes, the vibes have been awesome. Just before we get into game talk, I just want to say this is like we're going to touch on this, I'm sure, during the game notes, but like this is the most fun it's been to be a fan of this team in years. And obviously, it's like, being 3-0 helps. Like, yes, the winning is nice, but it's the way we're winning. It's the chemistry with this team, the energy. The vibes are great. It really feels like this is like a team that can do kind of whatever it wants to, as long as it, executes and does, plays to their strengths. But, just the first couple of days this week have been awesome. I got people texting me about UNT, and whenever I send people a text, I'm like, hey, look who we beat. People are like, oh, you beat a school I know about. Yeah. It's like, oh, yeah, cool. So, vibes are good.
Yeah, for sure. No, like you said, I mean, the way we won the game is I think the main takeaway. So in my, I guess this is my 15th year of being a North Texas fan. So in the time that I've been following the team, there are two wins that stand out in particular to me that were early season wins that felt similar. Maybe not exactly the same, but had that same vibe of, like you said, of just like how we won was so impressive, and it left so much, I guess, room for just imagination on how the season would go.
Mm-hmm.
2013, we played Idaho at home, first game of the year, and Idaho started the game by going on a 4-play, 75-yard touchdown drive. And after that, we outscored them 40-0 the rest of that game. And that game had, big offensive plays. It had big special teams plays. It had, Zach Orr being a monster on defense, and Marcus. It had just everything you could have asked for that game, for kind of the first game of the year. And that really set the tone for the rest of the season, where you had a team that looked like it was capable of doing big things, and they did. They went 9-4, won the last bowl game in school history, unfortunately. And like I said, it was more how we won than the fact that we won that game. We were expected to win, but like I said, it had everything that you could have asked for going in. And then the other one that it reminded me of.
Real quick, I'm sorry. Was Idaho FBS when we won that game?
They were an FBS team.
Okay.
And funny enough, after that game, I remember a bunch of their fans on their like forum or whatever just saying like, we need to move down to FCS. And at the time I was like, why would you ever want to move down to FCS? And now that they've done so, I see the vision. they knew their program better than I did, apparently. But
it did work out for them, I think.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so the other one that it reminded me of, really two from the same year, from the 2018 season. But the first one was SMU. We played SMU that year in 2018, game one in then Apogee, and we beat SMU 46-23. Mason Fine had 444 yards, 3 touchdowns. Like that game really stood out as like, okay, like this team, this is a for real football team. Like this isn't just, another, decent North Texas team. Like this team, right. that team really won that game in a way that just SMU scored 23 points in the fourth quarter in just garbage time. But we were beating them going into the fourth quarter, I think 36-0. And so that kind of performance really put it out there of like making a statement. And then obviously the Arkansas game, a couple games later kind of had a similar vibe too. But like you said, how you win those games in just like showing how dominant a football team you are is really what kind of leads you to believe that this team could go on a similar run this year. And we'll see. There's a lot of football left to be played, but the offense, defense, special teams, just a complete dominant performance, probably the most dominant performance I've ever seen at North Texas. And it really, there really wasn't anything left to be asked for. What was kind of your just thoughts going through that game and just, witnessing it and feeling like, is this real kind of thing?
I was only able to stick around for about a quarter and a half. I had to go to work. I work at the Ticket if there are any local sports fans. So I had to go to my shift at the radio station that night. So I could only stay for a couple minutes of the game, which is kind of a bummer because in my head, I kind of, not that I expected us to lose, but there was just that thought in the back of my mind of like, okay, we're probably not going to win this game. If we do, it'll be close, and I'll be happy if we do. But, like, there was not the thought of we're going to win this game by 49 points. So I didn't think much of it. I was like, okay, I'll just go for a quarter, watch us play some good ball, and get out of there. And my favorite play of the game was thankfully one I got to see in person, which was that Shane Witter blasting of the running back. Yeah. And then disrupting the pass that led to the first pick of 5 turnovers in the first half. So the fact that I got to see that play unravel was awesome. You mentioned domination, like the most dominating win. I couldn't agree more. This was like everything we talked about coming out of Western Michigan, where we're like, okay, there's some things to clean up, right? That's the kind of the cliche in college football these days is, all right, even if you win, you always got to clean up something. You list out the things we were talking about after week 2, like, maybe better field position, maybe better, would like to see some better defense early on and not have to get a little bit worn down and have to adjust so much. Some of the offensive line play was not, amazing against Western Michigan. They fixed, I don't want to call it like a perfect game, but they fixed everything. Like, the offensive line was awesome against Wazoo. They rotated a couple guys around. Someone on GMG mentioned it that they put Nelson at right tackle.
Yes,
and he did awesome. I thought he had a great game. He had a couple ways he got beat on early on, but he settled in really nicely. So offensive line was great. Drew kind of keeps doing his same thing of being able to, throw from the pocket. If he has to roll out and throw off his back foot, apparently he can just zip 30-yard dots to the chest of whoever he needs to go. The running backs had more space. They diversified the ball more. Miles Coleman didn't have any drops, I don't believe, which that was a big, no from Western Michigan, is he had like 3 or 4. And, as far as the turnovers go, really only one of them I would say was self-inflicted by Wazoo. That was the I don't have his name in front of me. When they put their backup quarterback in and they fumbled the hand.
Yeah, just kind of like a zone read.
Right. That one we got a little bit lucky and just pounced on. But the other 4 were like strips, like fumbles we forced or picks that we disrupted the pass on.
Yeah.
So I've read things that people are saying like, you don't get lucky with 5 turnovers like that. Absolutely. That was not some farcical, like, I've seen a couple people from like national media kind of just look like Wazoo and see like, what are you doing? And they see the final score and just assume Wazoo did some stuff wrong. And, that's part of it too. They have a lot of, FCS talent players who did not show up on Saturday. But, if anybody watches that game in full, it was, like you said, just domination start to finish. I have watched, we talked about this in the pre-show, I've watched this game about 6 times all the way through just because I cannot get enough of it.
Yeah.
We were talking about SMU, probably the most fun game since SMU 2018. Maybe Arkansas, but at least in terms of like games I've enjoyed, like where I've just been like, oh yeah, this is what I want to see from my team. We kind of knew you were talking about like the belief that this team can kind of go on a run, and we enter late September, October with like this belief of, oh yeah, we can win any game we're squared up.
For sure.
We had that in the Arkansas game. I was overjoyed that we beat Arkansas, but we all kind of knew Arkansas was a little bit bad. I think they were 0-2 when we played them, if I'm not correct. And they ended up, I don't know their record from that year, but they were terrible. They were one of the worst teams in the country, not just the SEC. And they were poorly coached. They had no depth. I mean, I'm glad we won that game by 30 points, whatever it was. But, just to digress, it wasn't a great team that we beat. And I don't think Washington State's going to end up being a great team either. But, this just feels like one of the most proud efforts I've had for my college football team. You've been a fan for 15 years. I've been a fan for about 8. I cannot remember a game where everything worked out so smoothly. And it doesn't feel like a flimsy farce of a win. Like, this feels like a well-coached group that has depth. They can diversify how they run their offense. The pre-snap motion has kept defenses completely on their feet, which is awesome. I love that. We've opened up the playbook a little bit more as the season's gone on, and guys are making plays. I'm just happy, man. This is just I can't get enough of watching this game, and we're at the point now where I'm really excited for Saturdays again. Like, I don't know. It's just I think my last point here. I'll kick it back to you, but the most exciting thing about this team is that we have a defense. Sure. I've seen North Texas run up the score and hang 30, 40, 50, 1,000 times in the last 10 years. It's fun. I don't get sick of it, but we've had so many great offensive talents come through here since Seth Lichal got hired.
Yeah.
And as fun as it's really been the only strength on this team. They have not been able to field a good special teams or defensive unit since 2018. This feels like a complete group that can go out and win any week, but it is relying on the strength of the defense so far. And it's just a nice change of pace, man. It's so fun. It like every single drive we're out there, I don't have to stress about our guys getting beat. I think that it's proof that Skylar Cassidy's scheme works. It wasn't just Sam Houston playing Conference USA talent last year. I spent all off season telling people that whenever I liked the hire, the more I kind of sat on it. And I was like, oh yeah, digging into the numbers, they had a really good defense last year. And so I'm looking at Skylar Cassidy's resume. I'm thinking, okay, I actually really like this hire. And when I'm talking football with like my A&M friends or like my Texas friends, they're like, yeah, but you hired a Sam Houston State coordinator. I'm like, okay, well, you still have to be good at your job.
Right.
Like you still have to be able to succeed at running your scheme, whatever it is. There's plenty of bad FCS defenses or Conference USA defenses or whatever it is.
Yeah.
What matters is, are you a good coach? Are you a good talent evaluator? Are you good at scheming up defenses? And Skylar Cassidy so far has been a home run hire. There is the horror of thinking about guys like Drew and Morris and Cassidy getting poached, and we'll worry about that when the time comes. But the defense has just been so awesome to start. I cannot give them enough credit for how well they played on Saturday. Guys like Shane Witter and Davion Armstead have been awesome. Trey Fields has been great. You could just run down the list. There's been so many guys who have stepped up. So every single Saturday going forward, even if we lose a game, even when we lose, I'm going to bounce back and be like, you know what? I still believe in this team because they've given me a reason to believe. And it's been a while since I've been able to say that. So it's very refreshing.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, I think looking at the defense, another guy who stood out to me who just I don't know if I've heard his name mentioned by North Texas fans this year, outside of maybe us, is Kevion Huddleston. Kevion Huddleston had 2 sacks as a backup defensive end. Like, I can't remember the last time we had a second rotation defensive end pick up 2 sacks in one game. And he's been solid, kind of a guy from TCU who didn't play a ton there, but kind of battled through some injuries. But clearly Cassidy made an evaluation move with him and saw some ability that he could, felt like he could work with. Huddleston got 2.5 sacks through 3 games as a backup defensive end. So again, we talk about Ethan Day and how solid he's been, and Outland and Vilea on the defensive line. Like those are the guys who deservedly get praise. But like I said, we've got depth now on the defensive line. Like, I don't know if you saw, like, I went to, I've been to 2 straight games, but I don't remember. I guess, how much this defense subs. I mean, they are very active. Like, just sitting on the
Yep.
sidelines, like, they are very active with their substitutions. Like, they know who to bring in and when, and they do not hesitate. As long as they can get the guys in, or if the offense makes a substitution, obviously the defense is going to make one too. Like, this defense is very actively subbing guys in and out of the game, and guys are going in and doing their job too. They're not just going in, to kind of give guys a breather. Like, they're going in to play hard and keep the intensity up. So, like, I love that. I think that's huge for this defense. Especially going into a game against like Army, a team like that. But one last thing about the defense that I want to mention is just Shane Witter. I mean, you talked about it, but he was a huge part of 2 interceptions. I mean, you talk about forcing turnovers. He blew up a running back right into Jackson Potter's lap, and he had been, and then plowed through Potter as well. And
forced that play where he ran over that blocker, I distinctly remember everyone in the stadium collectively going, "Oh!" at once, and those are the plays you love to see from a linebacker. You can make the whole stadium do that,
and then a subsequent loud cheer for an interception that then gets returned 60 yards. Like, that is just beautiful football. That's the kind of defense that we just have not seen. But Shane Witter, look, he's in his second year. He transferred from Oklahoma. I'm going to make kind of a little bit of a leap here, but he really does remind me a lot of Marcus Trice, who came here back in 2012, 2013 was when he played for North Texas. In 2012, for those those listening who remember him, Marcus Trice in 2012 was a solid player. I don't even think he got honorable mention All Sun Belt that season, but then the next year in 2013, he was first team All Conference USA, had 5 picks, had 3 forced fumbles, just had an enormous year for that amazing defense. And we don't see a lot of that in college football anymore, where guys are there for multiple years. Like, when you get a guy in, it's almost like he's looking for to bounce, bring his stock back up and then bounce back somewhere. But to get a guy like Shane Witter, where you actually get him for 2 years and you actually get to develop him and let him get acclimated to the school and to the program, and then have a chance to actually take a leap in that second year. Like I said, that's unfortunately more and more rare in college football, but he is a great example of how that matters. Like, actually being able to get comfortable and acclimated to a place, and being able to take a leap in a subsequent year instead of just being a kind of one and done, hired gun kind of guy. Like Shane Witter, we're seeing in real time, man. He is playing he wasn't a bad player last year. Obviously, played on a bad defense, but he is taking a step forward and becoming just a huge, big play waiting to happen on defense. And that's the kind of stuff that we needed, not just, guys making the tackle or guys bringing a ball carrier down 5 yards down the field, like making big impact plays on defense. So, that's, you wanted to point that out because, again, you definitely see that progression in year 2 from him. But going over the offense.
Sure. Well, I've talked about that a couple times where it's like Trey Fields was the guy they brought over from Sam Houston, who was kind of that guy for them last year. And if you're going to have a successful, you need more than one guy who can do that. You need rotational guys. Obviously, our depth has been awesome, but you want multiple leaders. And he's been fantastic. I mean, this is his senior year, so he's playing for possibly the last football of his life. The way he's playing, he might get some scouts looking at him, but not there yet. But still, he's playing in his last year of football at UNT in college period, and he's just been awesome. You talk about guys like Wes Losky. Wes Losky's clearly like vastly improved. It really matters that these guys have fundamentally better coaches and better scheme set up for them. Because it's easy enough to recruit a bunch of guys and kind of try to utilize the 2-man and just 2 deep and go as much as you can rotational. But to actually be able to succeed at doing it, and not only succeed, but like make it an imposing threat on other teams where it's like you can't catch a break, you don't get a breath.
For sure.
That's what wins you games. That's the difference in winning and losing right there. If you have guys who can relentlessly keep the other team from catching any sort of break, that's a big deal. So Witter's been awesome. Everybody on the defense has been so good. I mean, Quentin Hammond's had a great game. I'm watching these guys wrap up and tackle, and they were great in the open field. They were great on blitzes. They were great, in pass prevention. Like, everything they needed to do Saturday to shut down that offense. They did. They let a couple big plays happen. I'm not worried about a couple deep passes. That first one they had down the sideline was a crazy good catch.
Yeah.
Whoever I don't know who made it, but yeah. Oh yeah, it was. Yeah, I remember his name being funny. I was like, because I PBR.
Yes. Yep.
Had to pour it out for him. Made a great catch down the sideline. It was good coverage. Just fell right into his lap, and it was a dot.
It was.
For what it's worth, Paxton had a great first 2 weeks. I know his first game wasn't awesome against Idaho, but he looked really settled in week 2, and his stats kind of reflected it. He's not some trash QB, so the fact that he had a couple successful plays against us is not something I'm too worried about. Yeah, I just going through the depth chart here and reading all the stats, it's like you could spend a whole hour just talking about each person's game. Davion Armstead had a great game.
Mm-hmm.
I noted in the group chat that he's one of those DBs where when you're watching him, it looks like he's almost a foot slow behind these guys, but then he closes out with this athleticism that's just like we haven't seen that from a DB in a while. Like there's no play that they can run where I'm prepared to see our guys chasing their guys 20 yards down the field. Like there's no space given to them. And I think that's just so huge is the fact that we have a 2 deep on defense where every single guy can step up and make a play and keep them on their toes. So, yeah, I mean, we don't have time to unfortunately give every player a scouting report for Saturday, but if we could, man, I'd give just about everybody on the defense an A. Ethan Day was awesome. Weslowski was awesome. Fields was great. Armstead was great. I mean, just everybody, top to bottom. Quentin Hammonds, everybody who stepped up and played on defense Saturday did their job, made tackles, great in the open field, great reads. I mean, there's nothing to criticize. I don't. What do you say when you force 5 turnovers? Like,
yeah,
it's just. And then the nice thing about that too is that we don't really have a ton to nitpick on the offense because the offense wasn't really working with full drives. They kept getting the ball at like the 30 or 40 yard line. So
yeah. Let's go into that. So the offense, like you said, didn't have a ton in terms of yardage gain, but was just efficient when they were out there. 410 yards of total offense, and it was just because, like you said, they were going short drives and they were punching it in. Like there were a couple drives that I felt like you had some penalties. Like there was one where Mestamaker scrambled for a big first down and got called back for holding. I think that drive stalled out. So you had 2 punts in the first half where the drives, there wasn't much there, but then you had 3 plays, 19-yard touchdown, 6 plays, 30 yards touchdown, 1 play, 12 yards, 2 plays, 20 yards, all touchdown. Like that second quarter onslaught was just the ideal instance of complementary football where your defense was making plays and your offense was capitalizing, punching it in. Like you said, Mestamaker just was throwing dots and just playing great football. There were a lot of plays where I felt like he just really showed me ability as a quarterback, that just intangibles or like ability, just instincts, just the kind of things that make the difference between quarterbacks who have the tools and are successful versus, especially at the higher level, versus guys who have the tools but just don't quite, for whatever reason, put it together. Like he's got the instinct. There was one play in the second half where he had some pressure off the edge, and he stepped up in the pocket into just a cramped phone booth, and he just delivered a strike to Terrence Lewis downfield, and he made some guys miss. Yep. And then there was the touchdown pass to Sides. That was a really impressive throw.
Off his back foot,
flick of the wrist, kind of across his body a little bit, and it was just perfect to Sides, just right in the back of the end zone. The throw to Trey Williams, he made it look like a layup. If you watch the film, that throw was not a layup. Like that, there was a defender. I mean, he had to put that ball, pretty much right where he did. And it, like I said, it looked like easy touchdown. Trey Williams open, hit him. There's 6. But that throw is not just as easy as he made it look. I really want to emphasize that because, again, like that arm talent is special. But overall, the run game was working too. You had Jaden Becks coming in and making some big plays. McGill had a good game again, and then Hawkins came in the second half and kind of closed the game out and really, with the second unit, kind of raised some eyebrows, I think, among our fans.
Yeah, so we talk about that drive. Do you want to give that drive like 30 seconds of love where he just plowed through for like 70 yards by himself?
Yeah, no, that was impressive. And Poffenbarger, he actually got to throw the ball a little bit, and like he looked like he was running the offense. Like the first game against Lamar, he didn't really get a proper chance to showcase his ability. Like this game, he was actually allowed to throw the ball a little bit. Hawkins was running great. They were moving the ball. They were running offense. And yeah, they went down, scored a touchdown. And yeah, like you said, Hawkins, he had 50 yards, 8 carries, 50 yards, a touchdown, also had 2 catches, 19 yards. Like he was just the feature player in the offense in that drive. And, you know, that part of the second half. And really was just making plays.
Yeah.
But yeah. What else do you want to talk about offensively? What did you see there that, you know, as we go forward?
I hate to harp on a dead horse, but I really just am proud that everybody kind of touched the ball. It didn't feel like we, especially if you have a game like this where you're, I don't want to say limited offensively, but you know, you're not working with 75-yard drives every time you touch the ball. It might be a little bit harder to make sure that everybody gets a touch and give everybody some reps, and they still did it. Like, I think that's a very, very promising sign heading into Army and conference play, is the fact that we were able to get everybody some touches Saturday and at the same time not give away too much. It doesn't feel like we've kind of exposed the whole playbook for conference play. You know, there's probably still going to be some games this year where Miles Coleman is 100 yards better than the second best receiver. But same thing. I mean, I can't overstate how important it is that everybody got reps. And that's, again, going back to coaching, like that's what good coaches do. A good offensive scheme figures out a way to get guys reps in that game and not just dilute your offense down to like 2 guys, because that's just what you have to do situationally. Mm-hmm. Same thing as the defense. I could spend an hour talking about Drew. Just, my Lord, is he fun to watch. Chandler Morris and Chandler Rogers were both very, very entertaining players, but probably a little bit more beneficiaries of the system around them and the players around them. Neither were, I would say, like highlight reel players. No disrespect to them. They were both very successful here and got the job done, but I don't think Chandler Morris is an eye-popping QB. He's just an efficient QB. He's very good. There's a difference. One's not better than the other. Drew Mestemaker is a eye-popping, talented QB. I think he's only going to get better at running the ball. We've talked about that a little bit. He didn't run really that much this game, but kind of as the season goes along, I would like to see some progression there. But he has the talent to do it. But his throws, we talked about the sides pass. We talked about the Trey Williams pass. There were like 5 or 6 passes this game that I haven't seen a UNT QB make since Fine. And there's just stuff like that where it's like, if you have a player who is that electric, headlining your offense, you know, you can win any game. And especially with everybody else, the defense coming together the way they have and the special teams kind of figuring out their woes, it's like, it's just so fun. Yeah. It's so fun to watch this team. It's fun knowing that if we have the ball on offense, Drew's going to do something really cool. The fact that he can make all these passes off his back foot and on the run and under pressure. I talked about it. I don't know if it was the Western Michigan recap or the Lamar recap, but he does look a little bit like a guy who has, like, just physically, he looks like someone who has not played a ton of quarterback. He gets tackled a little bit awkwardly. He runs a little bit awkwardly. Those are things that I think will kind of round themselves out the more he plays. But as far as like composure and field vision and being the general of the offense, you would never be able to tell that this guy has made 4 starts as a QB in the last 8 years. It's just, it's impeccable, and it's so fun to watch. It makes every game exciting. It's going to be interesting to see what we do against a team like Army. It's definitely going to be a new challenge for him, but yeah, he was awesome Saturday. And kind of like I said with the defense, you could go down the depth chart and just nitpick everybody and give them 3-4 minutes of love, but I don't know. I think he was awesome. I think everybody was awesome. This game was awesome. And by the way, one thing I want to mention, not team related, but I think some people were complaining about the crowd size. I thought it was a pretty decent crowd for the situation. I mean, we didn't sell out DACU like the plan was, but the students showed up. I kind of expected it would be a one of those crowds that fills in at the end of the first quarter, which is exactly what it was. It was very hot. It was about 92 outside, so it was even hotter on the field. It was very sunny, very few clouds in the sky. And a lot of the students filled in. Kind of
alumni side looked good too, I thought.
Alumni side looked packed to the brim, which is awesome. There were a ton of recruits kind of filling in the corners, which was great. Mm-hmm. Wing was not super full, but it never is going to be if it's 90 outside and it's September. It just isn't. I think you might start to see some wing seats fill up if we keep winning and it's October and 70 outside. That might be a little bit nicer, and we can put some butts in the seats there.
And I think the night games just seem to draw better. Like those seem to be our biggest ones because, just like you said, all those reasons.
If we beat Army, I expect the Army in South Alabama. If we beat Army in South Alabama, I expect that Friday night crowd about USF to be raucous. So, I just wanted to give the crowd some love. Everybody who showed up did a great job cheering. The environment was great. I talked with a couple of people who were at the game who said it just kind of felt like a normal crowd, but the people I was sitting with were really engaged and invested. It felt like the energy was kind of palpable in a sense, and people were enjoying what was on the field. But the students were great. I don't know if any students listen to this. I've directly talked to them a couple times the last few weeks, but students, you did a good job if you are listening to this.
Yep.
You did great. Keep coming to the games. Make the environment threatening for a team coming to DATQ. So, crowd was awesome. Environment was awesome. Offense was awesome. Defense was awesome. I wish every game could go like this. I don't know when the next time we're going to have a game this dominant is, so I'm going to enjoy it.
Yeah, for sure. And one last thing before we go into the Army game that I wanted to make note, just going back to Mestemaker. I mean, just the passes that we've seen him make this season so far, and like you said, the clear indications through all of that he's still developing a ton. I'm going to go ahead and make my bold claim here. So I've been looking into this. So I'm not just this isn't unwarranted. I'm going to call it right now. Hot take: Drew Mestemaker will be a first-round NFL draft pick.
Oh,
yeah. And I've got
hang on. So I actually have a question. This is probably a very your take is sizzling. The bacon is in the pan, ready to go. My take is probably like microwaved soup, but I am curious for what your response is going to be here. Right now, do you think he's a better quarterback than Arch Manning?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you were able to like take the football game and put it in like an infrared filter where all you can see is like the players' silhouettes, and you're like, here is quarterback silhouette A and quarterback silhouette B. Which one is throwing better passes, and yada yada. I don't know how you can make a claim that Arch Manning is playing at a higher level right now than Mestemaker.
I agree, and I know people are starting to call out Arch for not being super great so far, but I also know that North Texas has not beaten anybody really of significance. But it would be nice to see some.
But they played UTEP. I mean, they played UTEP on Saturday. He struggled.
UTEP and San Jose State, and it's all I could see on SportsCenter for 2 weeks was every Arch Manning pass. Like, I get it's Texas. I know we're going to give this kid the hype. He's a Manning. He's at Texas. But it's like, man, something really special's happening like a couple miles up the road. And it's a pretty fun story. It'd be cool because, like, when we played in the bowl game, I know bowl season's a little bit easier since the games are spread out. But, like, I saw TikToks every day about Drew Mestemaker for whatever reason. He was like a popular TikTok topic for 3 days. I haven't seen him mentioned anywhere on like any of like the Texas football life or like the big accounts on Twitter or any I don't know. I don't know what we're gonna have to do to get him some love. I obviously win some more games and beat some more good teams, but
So here's kind of some research that I pulled together. So what this is since 2000 there have been 13 quarterbacks drafted in the first round out of G5, FCS, basically the sub power conference. It used to be back then. It used to be non-automatic qualifier conferences back when it was the BCS. But so these are guys who are either G5 or FCS, G5 equivalent or FCS.
Sure.
The year that they were in college and drafted. So if you look at the quarterbacks who have this is just their freshman year stats. So you look at Ben Roethlisberger had 25 touchdowns his freshman year. Chad Pennington had 15 with 15 interceptions at the FCS level. Zach Wilson, who was playing at BYU, who's kind of even back then was kind of a pseudo P5 team. He had 12 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. And you look at fourth on the list is Paxton Lynch, 9 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. And tied with him is Drew Mestemaker. Three games into his freshman season, he has already thrown as many touchdown passes as just about every quarterback who was drafted in the first round out of G5 did their freshman year. So you look at that, he is, despite being a unproven high school quarterback, he is already ahead of the curve, like already surpassed where those guys were as freshmen at their respective schools. So I think this is noteworthy to me, again, that like he is 3 games into the season, he's got 9 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. You look at completion percentage, the only one who had a higher completion percentage was Carson Wentz, who threw 16 passes his freshman year. Like, again, Drew Messmaker still has a long way to go. Yeah. But not only are his stats already like jumping up as far as like how good these guys were early on, like how good he was early on compared to these guys who got drafted in the first round. But he's 6'4". He's not 6 foot like our other quarterbacks have been. Like, he has the NFL build to actually get drafted. But then again, these guys took time to develop. Drew Mestemaker, if he played every game on the schedule the rest of his college career, he still has 45 more starts. And that's not including bowl games and conference championship games or playoff games. Like, he's got 45 starts left in his college eligibility career. Obviously, injuries happen. He may not play the full 45, but like 45 starts compared to what he's played so far. Like, he has a tremendous amount of time to grow. And for him to be where he's at right now, again, that's where this take comes from. It's not just blind homerism. I looked at the guys who were drafted first round out of G5, and I think he's absolutely in line with these guys, if not ahead. And he's, like I said, he's got the size. He's not playing from a Mason Fine situation where he's putting up great stats, but he's 5'10" or 5'11", or Chandler Rogers, Chandler Morris. Like Drew Messmaker is 6'4". He's got the arm strength. He's got the speed. So yeah, that's where that take comes from. I just wanted to kind of share that as I did some research there and kind of got excited a little bit. But that being said, we will see some freshman moments this year, maybe even this week against Army. It's going to be a tough one. Army coming off of a win at Kansas State, well, technically coming off a bye. They had a bye this week, but before that, they were able to go into Manhattan, Kansas, and beat Kansas State. And the week before that, they lost to Tarleton State at home, so FCS school. So Army, kind of hard to get a good read on like what they are, but obviously, going into New York, going into West Point, like it's going to be a tough battle. What are you kind of seeing looking into this game right now?
Well, I'm grateful Bryson Daly's not on the team anymore. I'll say that. Yeah. A respectful tip of the hater cap to him. Never want to play him in football again. Yep. I have expressed in the group chat that I hate this game. I just hate playing Army. I love watching them outside of our games. They are one of those, like, part of what makes college football great is the traditions, and they run a very traditional offense. And they're one of those teams that just does something unique, and I hope never change. Jeff Monken is a great coach. Clearly has a lot of respect for us, which is nice. But he also beats us a lot, so I would like for that to change Saturday. As far as this year's squad goes, I don't think we're going to be seeing any 14-minute drives that end in a touchdown. A, because our defense has improved, and B, I don't think they have the depth that they had last year to do something like that to us again. They are going to run the ball. They are going to control time of possession. I think it is imperative that we get the ball first and score. That is a huge. Obviously, the game might go a little bit different than the way we preview it. It usually does, at least so far this year. But I think it's a huge factor in how UNT is able to dictate how they play in this game tempo-wise. Is can we get the ball first and kind of keep them on on their feet and kind of make them play to us. And I think I really, really want us to get the ball first. I'm usually a let's kick it and get the ball at halftime if we're playing anybody serious type of fan. Not this week. We want the ball first. Get the ball first and score. I'm looking at their stats against Tarleton and K-State. They've obviously rushed the ball very well. Tarleton is very good. Didn't know that. I will admit I came into the year with very little Tarleton knowledge. Having researched this game in preparation for the team I actually do care about, I went into a little bit of Tarleton deep dive. They have destroyed pretty much everybody on their schedule. They have, where did I mark it down here? They have a 4-0 record and a point differential of 187-40. And two of those
wins. 27 of that was Army.
Correct. Yes, they have a 42-0 win and a 59-3 win. Now, they're playing in a division lower, but again, that's still very impressive.
Yeah.
Going into West Point and beating Army is not easy. We learned this in 2016. Great win for us, but it was still hard-earned. And it really doesn't matter how good or bad Army is. They run a type of scheme that is going to work or not. It just is that. They're never going to have a down year entirely. They can jump up and win any game. They could very easily win this game against us, 21-10 this weekend, and it wouldn't really shock me. We could beat them 28-7, and it wouldn't really shock me. This is probably not the best Army team. I would argue that the 2017 and 2024 teams that we played against were much better. But having said that, this team did lose to Tarleton at home. They should not have done that. It's not really a better way to phrase that. You probably should not have FBS level players. I know it's Army, but you don't lose to Tarleton. That's kind of a not great loss. And then they did go to Manhattan and beat Kansas State, but I don't think Kansas State's very good. I've only watched about a half of each of their games, but everything I've seen, they're one of those teams where it's like, no disrespect to Avery Johnson. I don't want to call anybody out by name, but I've heard how good Avery Johnson is for years, and every time I watch that dude play, he just looks terrible. He doesn't look like he can pass. He doesn't look like he can run. So I don't think Kansas State's a very good team. But winning in Manhattan is same thing as West Point. That's one of those places that you don't just waltz into Manhattan, no matter how bad Kansas State is, and beat them. And Army controlled the time of possession for 40 minutes in that game.
Yeah. So
again, Kansas State probably not a great team, at least based off of their 1-3 record, 1-2, whatever they are. I don't really know what else to say about them other than that they haven't really looked great in any of their games. They played Iowa State close, but I don't think Kansas State does anything exceptionally well that makes the Army win over them that significant. But again, going into Manhattan and beating them is very impressive. So, Army as a whole, I don't know. It's going to be a good game, but I really I think it's imperative that UNT goes up early in this game. You mentioned Drew kind of maybe making a freshman mistake. This would probably be the game, like you said, I think, to see him maybe have to – he's going to have to adapt, right? This is not going to be like a similar team he's played the last couple weeks. I know they'll be a little bit more normal on the defensive side of the ball as far as like football schemes go, but it's going to be a challenge. The defense is going to get challenged. No score here would really surprise me unless it was a blowout, but I'm a little worried about this being a nice trap game, which UNT having a trap game on the schedule is, again, new. This is fun. I like that I'm worried about a game like this as being a trap game.
Yeah.
But
against the defending conference champions at their
exactly, right? Like, what a weird year for the American, and everybody talking about Tulane. It's like, dude, anybody could jump up and win it this year.
Yeah.
Because Army is not the same team as last year. They lost Bryson Daly, who was a huge – go look at how many yards and touchdowns they lost when Bryson Daly left.
And Kanye Udo, the running back.
And Udo, that's right, yes. They lost a ton of production. So not to say that they're, big military guys are still not tough because they're scary. I was on the field when we played them in 2017. They are some scary football players.
Yeah.
But yes, I just want us to get the ball and score, take a lead, and hopefully dictate this game a little bit better than we've been able to against Army recently. So
yeah, for sure. And yeah, Daly and Udo, those are the kind of guys who make like what they do. Like they're always going to have players who run that scheme well and who, quarterbacks who know when to pitch the ball or hand it off or run it or whatever. But like to have guys like Daly and Udo, that just like supercharges what they do and gives them game breaking ability on top of, being hard to stop and being hard to, be in position. That to me, I don't think they have that this year. They still have some decent players. They made a change at quarterback. They were going with Dwayne Coleman, who was their backup last year to start the year. Now they're going with Cale Helms, who's going to be the starter.
Their fans are happy about this.
They are, yeah.
So,
yeah, and then Noah Short is another player who was really probably their most productive player that they returned. He's like listed as a receiver, but he's going to run the ball a lot, kind of come in from like a wing position, run the ball, catch the ball. Last year he had 569 rushing yards, 318 receiving. So he's definitely a threat. And he also threw a touchdown pass this year. So definitely a tough player to contain. But again, I think that where our defense shines this year compared to previous years is like that ability to rotate, particularly on the defensive line. Like that, to me, is probably the best, I guess, advantage that we have with regards to this particular team that we're playing. As opposed to recent years, it was like, we had Rod Brown out there for 80 plays a game, and he just had his hands on his hips, like, all right, I can do this. I can stop them. Whereas this year, we're rotating guys, and they're fresh. And when we played Navy a couple years ago, Rod Brown did make a huge stop to get us the ball back and give us a chance to win that game. Like, you need to be able to create those kind of negative plays. Like, you can only give up so many so many 3-4 yard carries. They're just going to keep moving the ball. Like they are going to go for it on fourth down. I think they converted 6 of 7 fourth down plays against Kansas State. So they're not afraid to go for it on fourth down because that's what their offense is designed to do, to get to third and short, fourth and short, and then just get 2 yards, almost guaranteed every play. Being able to force negative plays is going to be what's going to be the key here for our defense. Can Vilea, can he break through and, get a guy 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage? Can, Huddleston keep making plays? Can Ethan Day keep making plays? Like, I think we have the team to do it, but we just have to make the plays. And it's just going to be a weird environment. Like you always, like you said, it's why you hate playing Army. It's why you hate seeing Army and Navy on your schedule in between like all these regular offenses, because it's just such a tonal shift to everything that you've been practicing. So, and then offensively, look, Army's tough. They control time of possession, and that makes it hard to get a rhythm offensively. Like it's hard to get a rhythm whenever like we saw this past Saturday. We would go out, we'd score a touchdown, and the defense would get the offensive ball right back, and it was just pick up where you left off. Keep that rhythm, keep the heat on them defensively. It's gonna be a lot different this week when Army is controlling the ball and they're taking large chunks and they're holding the ball for 5-6 minutes of the game time, and that's even more time in real time just sitting on the sideline. So trying to stay in a rhythm against that is going to be tough. I think we'll go into it, but go into kind of score predictions here soon. But those are going to be the keys to the game. Is can you be efficient with your drives and make them count when you have the ball? And then the defense, can you get those timely negative plays? Because if you don't get negative plays against them, they're just going to keep the ball. They're going to continue getting 3-4 yards every carry, and they're going to continue going for it on fourth down and just converting. And you have to be able to generate those negative plays. So that's going to be the big key. Turnovers, they have turned the ball over a little bit this year, which is kind of uncharacteristic for them. So if you can get that, obviously that's great too. But more realistically, I think, like I said, the negative plays. So kind of what are your final thoughts here before we go into score prediction on this game?
Yeah, again, I don't want to over express how bad I think K-State is, but our Army only averaged 3.1 yards per carry against them, despite that massive time of possession.
Yeah.
So that is a little bit promising that, okay, this, I think that's more indicative of Kansas State just not being great and kind of inflicting their own woes upon themselves. It wasn't one of those games where, they have the ball for 40 minutes and then all of a sudden it's, 4.5 to 5 yards a carry. Like they did not have insane efficiency running the ball. So it's a little bit promising going into this week that, okay, maybe there's something you can stop there. But like you said, totally agree. If you're not forcing negative plays, if you can't create any sort of turnovers at all, or at least get off the field once on a fourth down or something, you got to do something. You have to do something defensively because they're going to control the ball. Again, they would do it against Tarleton State and they would do it against Georgia. It's the same thing. They control the ball well. They're disciplined. They're well coached. Even though they may not have the same statistical production as last year, it's still a tough game. I am optimistic that our guys are also well coached. Not to completely cater to their advantage in this game. I think our team is really well coached. I think Skylar Cassidy's a really good defensive coach. I think Eric Morris is a really good offensive coach. I think our guys are going to be prepared, but this is another test. It's the fun part of what makes this UNT team so interesting is like, in recent years, obviously with Latrell, but even with the first couple of years of Eric Morris, we kind of had a vibe after the Cal game in 2023 where we were optimistic that this was going to be different.
Yeah.
And then it just wasn't.
Right.
Most games on the schedule the last couple of years have gone about as predictably as they could have gone, right? The Wazoo game was the first time it was like, oh, this might be different. This might actually be different. There might be a roster here who is conditioned and disciplined enough to win games like that 8-9 times a year. We'll see. I do think Army not being one of the transfer portal teams maybe helps a little bit in terms of preparation. You kind of know what you're getting, and it's not a cluster of random players from different schools. It's Army. It's the guys who are playing there are guys who either played last year or earned their job behind the guys who were there last year. So it's not a fun game to imagine watching, and I will be very glad when it's off the schedule and in the rearview mirror. Yeah. Having said that, I am confident in our team, and it would feel like a disservice and a vote of no confidence to express doubt in them after what happened Saturday. I don't care if we beat a bunch of South Dakota State transfers. I don't care. They played awesome. They deserve my support. So I will give them my optimism. I think they can go into West Point and beat Army.
So what do you have then? Let's hear the score.
Score prediction, I'm going to say, well, gosh, after last week, I think I had 24-10 over Wazoo. So
you had the 10 right.
I did have the 10 correct. That's right. I was just off by 35 points on offense and probably about 4 turnovers on the defensive side.
Yeah.
I have given this no thought. I don't know, man. I could see this game kind of flipping one way if things go poorly for either side. I don't know how good Army is the problem. They've only played 2 games. I think both of us would have a much clearer picture if this game was in November, and we just don't. Going off of more so what UNT has proved and where we're at, and like I said, after the Wazoo game, I can't go against them. I have to give them my support. I'm going to say we win this game 34-20.
Okay.
I think we score first. I think we go up 7-0. I'm going to tell you exactly how the game's going to go. We're going to score first, go up 7-0. They're going to score to tie at 7-7. We're going to go up 20-7 at halftime. And second half, we dominate, get a couple more touchdowns, maybe give them a little garbage time score. But yes. What did I say? 34-10? 34-20? 34-20.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm stick with 34-20. They get a garbage time touchdown to make it 20. 34-20 is my score prediction.
I'm going to go with 31-24 good guys. I think Army has scored 24 points in regulation both their 2 games. That seems about right to me, especially us playing on the road. But I think we make plays on both sides of the ball to, again, one, get off the field defensively, and then 2, like offense being efficient, not obviously putting up the big point total that we just did, but but being efficient when we have the ball and making good use of our drives. I think Mestamaker, maybe this is a game where he throws his first pick, but I think he's going to make plays at some point, whether it's whether it's early or late. Like I think he's going to make those throws that he always makes, and then probably get better throughout the game, which is another thing that he seems to be doing. So I'm going to say 31-24 UNT.
We are the best team they have played yet.
Oh,
that is a fact.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind. I think going off their first 2 games, since they have a very limited sample size, we're their best opponent yet.
Yep, I agree. Keep stacking the wins. And look, this is the first time that I've ever felt like if we go on a run, we could be worthy of a top 25 ranking.
Mm-hmm.
Like we've had votes in the past, but we've never really looked like a top 25 team to me. Even in 2018, like we looked pretty good, but not quite. Like this looked like a top 25 team on Saturday. If you can keep stacking the wins, beat Army, beat South Alabama, and then have that big matchup against South Florida, like this is it's all right there in front of you. The team has to be able to lock in and take it. But again, the opportunity is there. This is a huge chance to take a step towards that. And I'm going to say that they do go ahead and pull out the win. So with that, thanks everybody for listening, and go Mean Green.
Go Mean Green.